Today we're going to be learning about Tchias Hameisim and how exactly will it happen. First, I'm going to ask you a question. How many people do you think live in Eretz Yisrael now? You can chat me the answer, or you can write it down. There are roughly 9 million people. And now I want you to think how many more people will live in Eretz Yisrael after Tchias Hameisim happens. Before we can actually give our proper answers, first we're going to have to see who will actually come back and how will it happen. Let's talk about what happens to a person after he passes away. The body over time disintegrates and it turns into dust, but the only thing that remains intact the entire time is a bone called the luz bone. If you take your finger, you can feel there are two different opinions of where the luz bone is. Either in the top of your spine in the back or on your neck. Either of these options, the luz bone is always intact. And when Moshiach comes, Hashem is going to take a special liquid, a dew, known as a tal hatzchiyah. He's going to put it onto the luz bone, and the luz bone is going to come like a liquid, almost like a yeast. And from that, a dough is going to form, and Hashem is going to recreate the entire body once again. Now, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, who was a Tana during the second Beis Hamikdash, who was also a head of the Sanhedrin, had a very close friendship with Andreas, who was a Roman emperor at the time. And Andreas always used to come to Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania and discuss different topics in Torah. And one of the topics, which, as you can imagine, was the most fascinating for him, was a topic of Mashiach, and specifically, how Hashem is going to restore the body after Mashiach comes. So, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania explained to Andreas that when Mashiach comes, Hashem is going to take the luz bone, and from that, he's going to recreate the body. But Andreas was a little confused and said, how do you know the luz bone actually lasts so long? So to answer that question, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania brings a luz bone over, and he takes the luz bone and he puts it between two big millstones. Millstone are two big, very heavy stones that can help you chop or make into a very fine powder, strong and heavy items, but the luz bone would not budge. And then he took the luz bone and he threw it into the fire, but the luz bone was not being consumed. And then he took the luz bone and he put it into water, but the luz bone would not dissolve. And with that, Andreas realized that obviously the luz bone has the power to last, even though everything else disintegrates with the passing of time. Now, where does the luz bone get its special energy from? And the answer to that is the meal of Motzei Shabbos, known as Malav Malka. One of the biggest questions that most people have is, how will the body look actually when it comes back? If the last time I saw my Alta Zaidi, he was old and hunched and not feeling well and fragile, possibly even blind or deaf, what will he look like when he comes back? Is that he's going to come back in that state? So the first part of the answer is, the person when they come back, they're first of all going to come back in their typical clothing that they were accustomed to wear, one that people are going to recognize that exactly who they are. And they're also going to come back in the exact state which they left. So if someone came back left feeling very sick and very old, they're going to come back in the same way. Once everyone is there and waiting, Hashem is going to take the sun and remove the protective covering, the sheath, and the rays of the sun are going to heal everyone. And the people who were hunched and wrinkled, Hashem is going to freshen their skin. He's going to give them energy and strength. They're going to be able to stand up tall, throw away their canes. People who are deaf are going to automatically hear, and the same thing for the blind. Now, who are we going to actually get to see first? What is going to be the order? So obviously, the Rebbe is going to lead everybody. And once Tchias Hameisim takes place, there's going to be tons of questions coming in. And Moshe and Aaron and his sons are going to be there to help direct traffic and help people answer all the different questions that they have. Maybe some of the questions might be, who is actually related to me, who's part of my family, where can I find so-and-so? Next is going to come back are the tzaddikim, whether it's Mordechai Tzaddik, Shem ben Yochai, Rashi, Yosef Tzaddik, etc. Then the people who dedicated their lifetime in learning Torah. Then the people who spent their lifetime doing mitzvahs, whether it was Zachron HaZarchim or giving tzedakah. Raise your hand if you have a relative buried in Eretz Yisrael or Har Zaysim. They're going to be the next ones that come up for Tchias Mesim. Then comes the people who are buried outside of Eretz Yisrael. Now, once everyone's coming back and the world starts filling with an excitement of all the people who are coming back that we haven't met, most of us not in our whole lives, the last step and the grand reveal is when we're all together as a family going for the first time going to meet our fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And as children, we're going to welcome in our mothers, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. And as a family, we're going to be celebrating an excitement that we have yet to experience as one family, the coming of Moshiach, may it be right away. So now we're getting real for a second over here. So who are you most excited to see by Tchias Mesim? You could choose two children to role play. One of them is going to be Chaim, one of them is Shmuel. If you're doing this over Zoom, you can unmute them and they can play their part when they see their name. Shmuley, did you see Zadie yet? Yeah, you're not going to recognize him. He looks so much stronger and younger than the picture we have of him hanging on our dining room wall. I really want him to sleep here tonight. I'll even move out of my room. I can't wait for our family reunion tonight. It's going to be the first time we will have everybody there. And Sarah, Rickel, and all the cousins. It will be so funny when all the boys who are named after Zadie Shmuel will actually take a picture with him. Do you think baby Shmuley will actually smile? And here's the family reunion. Now, everyone should take out a paper at this point and imagine yourself at your family reunion. You will see your bubby Zadie's aunts and uncles whom you've never met before. After introducing yourself to the person you're named after, write down number 1. What do you think your first reaction will be? Write down one question you want to ask them. And what is one thing you would want them to know about you? Now save this paper until Moshiach comes. They will find it funny when you show it to them. Cannot wait to celebrate together.